Good evening, peoples. How y'all doing today? This is Bobby Hill with another episode of the Big Dam. Hope you had a good day today. I know I did. You know, another day above ground is always a good day. I always try to do stuff productive. It's hot out here today. Last week it was felt like it was fall, maybe even winter a little bit. But like I just told somebody, summertime said, "Hold my beer." Yeah, it's hot. Been sweating all day. My wife went to the gym earlier. Always, it's my ride or die, my road dog, my workout partner, my first workout partner ever. I worked out with people before, playing football and stuff, playing sports. I never in my life had a true workout partner, and she's there. She inspires me to work out hard. I inspire her to work out hard. He's here trying to maintain at this at the age we are. Like I said, she's 43. I'm 51. He's trying to maintain. What's funny is we go to the gym, a lot of, and we see college kids there because there's a few universities here. The big one is UTSA. It's a big school. It's not the caliber of the main University of Texas in Austin, which is about 90 about about an hour and a half, about 90 miles away, something like that. But well, that's the main school. So they got UT San Antonio. You see some of the kids in there, but most of the time in the gym, you see people at least 30 years, either 30 years old or older in the gym. And they be getting it. People my age and older, man, I'm old man, they getting it. See me, nod my head, nod their head, because they know what they trying to maintain. As Mob Deep said back in the day, try to maintain the stress on the brain can lead to a suicide thing. So, trying to keep the head tight, trying to keep my body tight, trying to move forward, not let all this craziness, you know, excuse me, don't let all this craziness is going on in this country, especially in the government and specifically the executive branch and the Republican wing of the legislative branch and the Supreme Court. Man, it's all crazy out there. So try not to let that stuff bog your mind down, let it stress you out because these people are crazy, man. Just try to live your life. Just try to move forward one step at a time. Don't let what this foolishness going on up there. Don't let that affect you. You know, you still got a family to look after. You still got people who love you. Don't worry about these people up here, man. Up here acting crazy up here in Washington. It's crazy. You know, this man posted a picture last year of some seashells. He got indicted today for wanting to kill the president because he posted a picture on Instagram of the seashells that had the numbers 8647. And supposedly they took that as saying that the former director of the FBI, James Comey, wanted to kill Donald Trump, which is BS. He helped Donald Trump win the first election when he, excuse me, when a few weeks before the election, he made an announcement that he was investigating Anthony Weiner's laptop, and was and during that time it was between Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump, the whole thing about Hillary Clinton was emails, 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 email. You notice how they disappeared all of a sudden, but emails. But about a few days, I think a week or something before the election, James Comey came up to the podium and said that he was investigating Anthony Weiner, a disgraced congressman who was who had to leave Congress because of controversy. And they said that they was checking his emails, checking his laptop for potential emails from Hillary Clinton. And that right there, I think that was one of the factors that won the election that made Donald Trump win. So in fact, he helped Donald Trump win the election. So this same man, he fired him when Donald Trump became president. He fired him. So, and then after that, he's been on a vendetta trying to, I don't know, trying to got something against him. I don't know. Same thing he got against Obama. He just, I don't know what he got against him, but they used this little picture that he posted and ran with it, saying that he was a picture that he posted a year ago that he was that he wanted to kill the president, which is the stupidest thing I ever heard. But he tried to indict him earlier this year, and he got tossed out the same way he tried to indict Letitia James. So it's just it's crazy, man. This man vindictive. Now he's trying to get rid of Jimmy Kimmel, because Jimmy Kimmel is exercising his First Amendment right. So he's trying to pressure that he got his people at the FCC trying to find a way to force Disney to force ABC, because Disney owned ABC, trying to force Disney and to force ABC to fire Jimmy Kimmel. And if they do that, that will be terrible, because that would affect freedom of speech. I'm saying this First Amendment. Everybody's constitutionalists. They worry about the Constitution. That's freedom of speech. Trump get up there say anything he want to by anybody, but nah, you get that, man. He ain't get down like that. Because he says something you don't like, you get mad at him. So what? And like a little baby trying to silence him. That's his right. You gonna post a picture with with King Charles. That don't even sound right. You call this man Prince Charles my whole life. King. For real. And they was getting on him because I'm talking about current events today, stuff I heard today, stuff I seen today. They getting on him because when he made an announcement, when he was talking, he made no announcement of the survivors of Jeffrey Epstein, knowing that his family members were involved with it. So that was sort of he was getting criticized for that, and he should. And Trump posted a picture saying 2 kings. I ain't gonna leave that alone. I don't leave that alone, right? I don't have time to go into all that stuff. Like I said, that's all these people just in this government are just showing how incompetent they are, man. From Marco Rubio to JD Vance to the Republicans in the Congress, man, the Senate, in the House. Mike Johnson looked like just like a puppet, man. Trump got his hand up his butt, moving, talking to him, they tell him what to say and everything. He looked like a blow-up doll or something, man. His face, he looked fake, man. Whatever, man. He's corny. But whatever. What can you do? This they were democratically elected, and so we got to put up with it. You want things to go different, you get out and vote. We talk about that later when it comes closer to the election, man. Talk about, getting registered. I am, I've been registered. The first time I voted was, I couldn't vote I couldn't vote in 92 because I was 17. I didn't turn 18 until February of 1993. So I didn't first vote until I was, until 1996. And I voted for Bill Clinton, and I voted for elections. I voted for I'm voting all the elections since then. So I'm saying it is. I know back in our in our neighborhood, in our community, that voting, there's not a big push for us to vote because the whole attitude is ain't gonna change nothing. They already decide who they want, and it always seems like it does. But I don't know. I feel like we come together, and we can come together like other communities can come together, man. I think we can make our voice really heard. We got to get along with each other and come together, and everybody don't have to think alike, but we got to have some sort of common drive. Some sort of common drive, some sort of common, ultimate goal. How you get there can be different ways, but we have a goal, and just try to do it, man. Just I don't know, you know. Like I said, man, we working out, a little working out with with my wife, and she just and I talked to her a lot about this. Like I said, she it weren't for her, I wouldn't be here. She wouldn't be here doing this. But like I said, she gives me, inspiration, and she talks to me about, what I talk about and stuff like that. And we talk about stuff, and, we talk about, what some things I talk about here, up here. I talk about what I talked on a previous show. I might talk about, go by, run an idea about her about what we're going to talk about next. And, she give me advice. She like it, she like it. She don't, she don't. She don't hold back words. I'm going to have her up here eventually. Have her up here sometime. We can talk. You see how we talk. I'm telling to cuss me out in Spanish one time. It's funny. I mean, it sounds somebody cussing you out in English. It don't sound like that. I tell her she sounds so sexy, cuss me out in Spanish, and she all mad, cuss me out, and I'm just like, damn, she's sexy. I want to. Damn, that sounds sexy. She cuss me out, right? That's just our dynamic. But yeah, she came and asked me, to talk about relationships and stuff. And like I said, we been through a lot. Like everybody been through a lot in life, especially with relationships and stuff. And I'm happy right now. I'm finally happy. And it took a long time. It took 49 years. There were other years that it may have seemed at the moment that it was some sort of happiness, but in the big picture, I look back, and I'm like, that was just that was an illusion, you know. But now it's feel like we have. No, it's not easy. If I say it's easy, not. Cause we first got together, it was tough, man. We was on shit. I can't count how many times we was on the verge of breaking up. I mean, we have been. Let's keep it real. We have been, But we all have baggage coming in. I was, my late 40s. We met. I was 49 years old. And she was 41. So, and you said we had baggage. I just came off of I just came off a failed marriage. You know. And before that, 13-year relationship failed. Before that, a 5-year marriage failed. So, I've been, I had a lot of, had a lot of baggage. She had a lot of baggage. She, had, she had 4 kids. And she had, went through a lot being a mother and stuff like that. So marriages and, relationships. So we both had our own baggage, what people done to us, man. So, that at times, became an issue. It became an issue trying to learn each other and trying to not go back to the, something seems one way. You have to go to your default position because of past trauma and stuff, man. So you got to get over that and just, treat everybody as an individual. You can't treat nobody. You can't punish this person because of the damn messed up shit the last people did to you. You got to learn how to damn, wipe the slate. It's hard. I ain't say you don't forget, but you got to learn how to, give, not let not fall victim to that emotion as soon as it comes like, look, let me see, let's wait, let me see. Maybe it's not. Maybe I'm just jumping the gun, or maybe I'm just, so it's not, it's hard. I mean, it's hard. It's hard because, there's a chance you do that and you get burnt again. So it's not easy. I'm not saying it's easy and stuff, but it's tough. But luckily we were able to luckily we were able to get through that. I showed her because I really, I mean, I was attracted to her when we first met. And then I just, wanted inside. I just felt that pull towards her. So I was living down. Remember, I said we went to the valley a few weeks ago. I used to live down. She's what's funny is I lived in San Antonio. She was from where I was living. I moved down to the Rio Grande Valley. I first lived in Mission. Then I moved to this town called Edinburgh, which is right beside it. Well, not right beside it, but it's not. It's right in the same area, But and that's where she was from. But she was in Edinburgh, and then she moved to San Antonio. So when we met, I was in Edinburgh. I was still driving trucks, over the road, and she was in San Antonio. So when I met, we was talking and stuff, and I used to leave out going, leave from Edinburgh going to the south. I used to go to Alabama, North Carolina, South Carolina, and stuff like that, and then come back down to the valley. So one weekend, I told her one time when I said I had a load coming back and it was going to Laredo, Texas, and coming in, you go to Laredo, you go through San Antonio. So I told her that, and there was an opportunity for us to finally meet. So when I came like 4 o'clock in the morning. Came to Central 4 o'clock in the morning. She was at work and she took a break. Not 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock. She took a break. She met me. We met each other, and it was instant chemistry, instant sparks. And I had to go down to Laredo, so I left. We stayed. It was for a few minutes. She was on break. She was on break at the job, so she, had to go back. And then I went back to Laredo. I went down to Laredo, made my delivery, and then I went back to Edinburgh, and I didn't. My job told me it was Friday, and my job told me I didn't have to have a load until Monday, so I had the whole weekend free. And as soon as I told her that, she was like, "Get your black ass here to San Antonio." So you know what I did? Matter of fact, my truck had a bad tire, and I didn't give a damn. I didn't wait to fix it. I fixed it when I got to San Antonio, but when I packed my stuff up and drove, it's like a 3.5 hour drive, which is okay. I mean, it's not bad. I mean, you driving trucks 3.5 hours ain't nothing. So, it wasn't too bad. Probably about the distance from, if I look at North Carolina, think about North Carolina, it's probably the distance from Clinton, North Carolina to Charlotte, I think. Yeah, something like that. 3.5, yeah. But yes, I packed all my stuff. No, but no, the thing about that is you have to go. You know, come Texas is a border state, so you coming down from the border, coming up from the border. So in every road you come from the border, there's a checkpoint. There's a border patrol checkpoint. And the things are big. I don't been through so much, and so it's a second nature. Driving trucks, everything. I've been through all them checkpoints. It's just natural. Every time I left from Edinburgh, I went through the checkpoints. They're not bad. I mean, they ask you, are you American citizen? They have dogs up there. They have X-ray machines. You just go through. It's almost like a toll booth, but they have like dogs there, and they have an agent there with a computer, and they just ask you, ask you, it's like, how you doing? Is that, anybody here? And the truck just asked me, was anybody in with me? If I'm by myself, I'm like, no, whatever. And they'll be like, are you an American citizen? I'm like, yes. And they'll be like, you can go. So yeah, that's how I do it. But sometimes it's like, man, I don't feel like going through there. But that night, I was ready to go. I left out. I didn't get there to her house till about 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, and then we spent the weekend together, and the rest is history. You know? And like I said, has it been easy? Nah, it ain't been easy. But name something that's good for you. That is easy. You know. Yeah, I've been through a lot. I brought. I'm still, like I said, I try to be. You know, I try to be a multifaceted person, man. Trying to learn. I try to know how to do a lot of stuff throughout my life. You don't have to be great in. I mean, it's good to be great in something like that, but instead of being great in one thing, be good in a whole lot of things. You know. learn how to cook, learn how to fix something, learn how to put something together, assemble something, learn how to paint something, learn how to plant something, you know. And that's food for your mind because you're keeping your mind sharp. Especially at the older age, man, you got to know how to do much, learn how to do stuff. It challenges you, man, because you sit there and you like I say, your brain is just like a muscle, it's like everything else, man. You got to damn feed it, you got to exercise it, you got to have challenges and stuff, man. So learn how to do stuff. It's never too late to learn how to do something. Don't let people tell you, as long as you sit here breathing, you can learn how to do stuff. You know, learn how to do stuff. Don't just be sitting in this box of things that you and become, you know, stagnant and just be okay with, okay, I just been doing this my whole life. I'm just okay with this. Don't be afraid to step out and do something. Make sure it's safe now. I mean, don't jump out. If you ain't never rode a motorcycle in damn life, don't wait till you damn 6 years old and jump on a motorcycle, because then you might get yourself. So I ain't talking about something like that. Learn how to do something. I might get back in. I already learned. I mean, I already got back into planting. Me and my wife got a garden out here on our patio, and I water the plants every single day. I water them like they my children. And then when I get, I probably, I'm gonna tell you what inspired me. Because when I was younger, I could draw, but I don't draw like I used to because I had other interests, and I sort of let that slide throughout my life. And that's one of the things that I always, beat myself up over that. But I still can do it. But when I might, I still draw a little bit. I still do. I still can do it. I still got, I got to actually do it. Start doing it now because driving trucks, I ain't never get the chance to do it like I was supposed to, like I wanted to. But what I might, I'm gonna tell you what inspired me at an older age when I saw when Billy D. Williams, got a hobby. He started painting, and so I might start back. I used to paint with Victoria because my daughter can draw real good, Victoria, and my daughter Samara can draw real good. But me and Victoria used to paint. So, and I realized that I ain't never really painted like that other than watercolors. I never did like oil painting on the canvas and nothing until Victoria got me to do it. And I felt like, oh, I sort of like that. So that's something I might think about doing, later, sooner than later, maybe you'll start painting and stuff, do something to, like I said, keep my mind sharp. Keep my mind sharp, keep the wheels churning. You know, like I said, because we all, 6 7 getting old every day. We get an age, we fighting it every day, fighting old age. So that's what I'm doing. Just like I said, working out. Out here trying to, you know, get involved, talk, work out. I was gonna say work out again. Time to, like I said, get out and just do different things out here, man. I'm out here and like I said, being out here in Texas and stuff, I'm able to see a lot of things I didn't see growing up in North Carolina, and that's good. That's good. And I tell you one thing, y'all come out if you ever come out to Texas, especially out in San Antonio, they doing a lot of building on the roads and stuff. One thing about Texas, you go, you see it, especially in Houston, Dallas, San Antonio. They got a few in Austin too. You look, the bridges, the bridges, like the interchanges between, like, if you're going off of one highway, see the loop around San Antonio is 410, and they have another loop is 1604, and they have a couple interstates, Interstate 10, Interstate 35, 37, stuff like that. So let's say you're trying to get on I-10, you on I-10, and you trying to get on Loop 1604, which and the bridges that you get to them interchanges, man. Them bridges look like a roller coaster. They high in the air and they everywhere. And not really bad, but I remember people they'd be on top of the be on top of the bridge and stuff coming, man, and like it looks you go way up in the air. I'm serious. Only thing that we get that shakes me is like, man, if they ever have an earthquake and you're on top of that damn bridge, it's a wrap. So things of that high. And that's like I said, one of the good things about they got like a Six Flags, they got SeaWorld, you know, they got the Alamo Dome, down they got this toll, they got this I forgot which one it was. It's one of them Final Destinations. It had it in a movie. One of those. It's like a slim. Ain't slim, but it's to the in scale it is. It goes up, and it's a restaurant up there. It's called Towers of America. You know, and they got one of those. I was thinking about going. We going to eventually go up there. But yeah, I saw that. I saw. I saw that scene on Final Destination, but oh my god, like, but yeah, I don't know if I think it's it might slowly spins or whatever. It's something like that. But yeah, we think about going up there. We go down. Excuse me, go downtown. You got the River Walk. You got the you got the boat rides and stuff, and you can go downtown. They got horse and carriage rides and everything. A lot of things to do down there. It's family oriented. It's fun, and it's not really like it's not crowded. There's parking. Parking you spend $20 something. You gonna spend a little bit of money on parking. Not like that. Not like at an event, but you gonna spend a little bit of money. But I said there's things to do down there for family. It's very good. It's nice down there. Yeah, I like going downtown. Whenever I get a chance to, when I ride through it and everything. So and they have a nice one day. Well, I mean, me and my wife was talking that one day we're gonna go to the I think they have a Marriott, and I forgot the other one, but we're gonna go and get one of them, get one of the floors that's up there, so we can get a good sight of the city. So one thing is about it. Outside of first of all, San Antonio is hilly. It's a lot of hills. Like it's really a lot of hills, you know. But out is more like the hills are bigger. They look like little baby mountains. But we go back there, like I said, sometimes when I be doing DoorDash, I go deliver to them out there in the hills and stuff. And some of them people live at the top of the hills, and you get to the top of the hills and you see the view that they have because they be up high. You can see the whole city lit up and everything. This stuff is beautiful. I said a lot of beautiful things out here. I tell my wife all the time, like I'm really, really, blessed and fortunate that I want to be able to share this with you. Share, living, settling down, you know, establishing something here, instead of being all over the road and stuff. And I'm glad I'm able to do that with her. And like I said, and she's glad that she's from Edinburgh, and like I said, she was in San Antonio a little while before I got here, but she never really like experienced San Antonio. She said she always wanted to live in San Antonio or Austin. So I'm glad that I'm able to be here with her when she's experiencing San Antonio, just like I'm experiencing it with her. So that right there is something that we can bond over. It helps us in our relationship. And that's it. And like I said, we sit up here and sometimes she goes out here with me and stuff. So we get to ride around the city, making money, enjoying the sights, figuring out, discovering like where like the different places to eat. So like I said, they got a lot of different cultures up there. They have a lot of like Indian food, Pakistan, they got Mediterranean, they got of course they got Korean, they got I'm telling you, this place. I mean, I don't know if they got them anywhere else. I think they have them in other places, but they are select locations. Look it up. It's this damn restaurant called Jollibee. I think it's JOLLIBEE. Jollibee. It's Korean fried chicken. And me and my wife have had it twice. It got spicy and regular. Yes, like Popeyes and everything, but it's different. It's Korean fried chicken and it's nice. It's, you know, yes. I've eaten a lot of fried chicken in my life. They were good. I don't like all fried chicken, but that was pretty good. Yeah. Like I said, you get to discover like new places to go eat, places to go shop and stuff whenever we do. We don't do a lot like that because, we still both, one thing we got in common that we're both, and like I'm a homebody and she is too. I like being home. We spent, the biggest investment in your life is your home. You spend all this money on your home, be home, enjoy it. But then you're going to spend all this money on your home and you out here wasting money or, especially with this damn gas high as hell. What the hell you doing out here, man? Stay at home. Enjoy your home. And that's what we do. We like cooking at home. We cook together. And I love cooking. I love cooking. She loves cooking too. We cook together. Sometimes I cook for her. She cook for me. And just, we serve each other. We do a lot of things. We do everything together. I'm at the age now, I don't be out here hanging out. I'm here in San Antonio. I don't got no friends out here. I don't got no boys out here. I talk to one person out here. One person out here, other than my family, my wife and everything. I talk to one person. He live in the same place where we live at. Other than that, I don't got no, I'm too old. I'm just sitting there trying to establish new friends and buddies. Like I said, I know I speak to people. I'm nice. I'm not an asshole or nothing like that. And I still talk to everybody I see. I'm still from North Carolina. I still say hey to everybody. I speak to everybody and stuff like that. I respect my elders and everything. I call people that are younger than me, sir and ma'am. I know they're younger than me. I still call them yes, sir, to let you know you're an adult, you get respect. Even though I'm older than you, I still will give you respect. Yes, sir, yes, ma'am. So I still bring that southern hospitality to Texas. So yes. So I enjoy. She makes me enjoy. She helps me enjoy life now. I wasn't enjoying. I tried to. I was trying to enjoy life, but I really wasn't. Especially when I have, being that my children, situation with my children and stuff, it was hard to enjoy life. And I was out here on the road and stuff. I wasn't enjoying just working. I was enjoying like seeing the sights, seeing things I never seen before, like seeing the whole country. That was beautiful. I'll always remember that, seeing the different parts of this country. Because this is a beautiful country. This is a beautiful country. It's the damn people. Some of the people that make it ugly. But visually, it's a beautiful country. I wish everybody could see the country through the eyes the way I saw it. I know a lot of truck drivers that do have seen it like that. But yeah, this country is beautiful. My favorite part is out west, north. As a matter of fact, specifically the northwest. That is probably the most beautiful part of this country. Washington, Oregon, Idaho. That's all that is beautiful. The Montana. My wife loves Montana. We got broke down in Montana for overnight. It was on an interstate at the bottom of a mountain, and the damn I think a damn hose in our radiator had something hit a hose in the radiator and it caused the fluid to run out. So the engine shut off. So I cut it back on. It would let me on. It would only run for 30 seconds. Then it would cut off again. So I didn't have no signal. It was in the middle of the mountains. Nobody had no signal. So nobody knew it broke down. So I had to crank it up again and go down the mountain. When I went down the mountain real fast, I knew it was about to cut off. And as soon as I stopped right before it cut off and looked, and I saw we had a signal. And then, it was, call people, let them know what's going on. And they let me know they weren't going to be able to fix me. It was on a Sunday. They wouldn't be able to come until Monday. And this was Sunday about, I said probably about 5 or 6 o'clock or something. Yeah. And it was, It was in the middle. It was, I forgot where it was at. It was middle of Montana. Like I said, it was mountains. People know Montana. There's a lot of mountains in Montana, but we were. I forgot what interstate we was on, but yeah, we was coming down. There were mountains on both sides. There was a stream going across and everything. It was a beautiful scene and stuff. But like I said, we broke down. We could. It was springtime, but it was in Montana, so it wasn't spring. Like spring in Montana and spring in Texas, North Carolina, different. It got cold and we couldn't have the truck on, so we couldn't have the heat on. So we didn't. It had to layer up, and it had a good time. It had a beautiful time and stuff like that. Sometimes when things seem like they're bad, sometimes they make the best moments. We broke down in the middle of Montana. Like I said, we slept good. I always said I was looking at like, oh, I'm hoping no damn bears or something come on at night or something. But other than that, like I said, we had a beautiful time. Woke up in the morning waiting for the people to fix it. Then, like I said, we was looking at, I took a video of the stream that was going across, right beside us, and it was real nice. So yeah, I enjoyed that. I enjoyed, like I said, enjoy this country, enjoy like seeing this country. Like I said, and I got, last time I got to see it with me and my wife. That's part of us, what built our bond till I was able to take her on the road with me, and we went across the country like a few times for like a few months, and we were able to, really connect and stuff like that. So that really helped us out. And shortly after that, dun 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 dun. No, we didn't do all that. We went right in front of the judge. We both said we ain't trying to spend all that money. We right in front of the judge. It just as beautiful. It was a wedding. Right in front of the judge. Said our dues. We enjoyed it. We enjoyed ourselves. Celebrated. And it was all beautiful. And we've been celebrating ever since. That being said, I'd like to thank y'all for spending a little bit of time with me. So I try to do this Monday through Friday with an occasional stop on a Saturday or Sunday, depends on what's going on. And I'd like to say, thank y'all. I got a little personal day talking about, my personal void, my personal, journey. I do that from time to time because, I feel, I have nothing. I'm not ashamed to share. Hopefully something I go through might help somebody. So, if I can help you, like I said, if I can help you, I'm glad to help you. That's part of the reason why I'm doing this, man. I want to be able to help people and, let them try to, hopefully I can, help them draw some sort of inspiration for whatever's going on. So we all got something going on with us, all of us. Don't let nobody for you. We all got something going on. And with that being said, like I said, I'd like to thank y'all for coming out and for being here with me tonight. I'll see y'all tomorrow. Y'all kiss your kids, kiss your loved ones, because you never know. It might be the last time. Love y'all. I will see y'all later.